We talked earlier about President Trump's latest round of pardons, several issued in the past 2 days, including a number of Trump loyalists. Presidential pardons typically raise some kind of degree of controversy at the end of a term, but President Trump's raised concerns from both parties, including Senator Ben Sasse, who called them, quote, rotten to the core. Well, joining us now is constitutional law professor Matt Steffi with Mississippi College. And Matt, what in particular what's controversial about these pardons? I mean, don't all presidents issue pardons, or they could anyway?
Well, they could, and they generally do. And in fact, most presidents issue more. It hasn't been, the issue with President Trump's pardons is not their number. His are the lowest rate since President Bush. It's the first President Bush. The real problem falls into three categories. One, the criticism has come on three fronts. One, it has minimized crimes like obstruction of justice, lying to the FBI, things that attack the heart of the prosecutorial process. Two, it seems to, in the minds of some, elevate cronyism and political favoritism over the rule of law and the seriousness of the crimes, that these are being channeled to allies of the president, kind of regardless of the crime. And the third, and the most recently troubling, are the pardon of those accused and convicted of, among other things, first-degree murder of citizens by Blackwater employees during the Iraqi war. And pardoning war crimes, people who have been convicted of first-degree murder, is rather extraordinary.
Well, you talk about the degree of the pardons that are there any limits to a presidential pardon? I mean, can he pardon anybody for anything?
Well, he can pardon anybody for any federal crime.
Okay. And
that's an important distinction. There's concurrent jurisdiction over many, many crimes, not the obstruction of justice kind of crimes we talked about, and not in the U.S. for crimes on foreign soil, but for many types of crimes, they can be prosecuted under state law, and a pardon doesn't affect that. A pardon also doesn't affect civil forfeiture, but other than those two small limitations, the president can pardon anyone he wants for whatever he wants, for a good reason, a loathsome reason, or no reason at all.
Wait, there's been a lot of talk about whether the president could pardon his family members or maybe even possibly himself. What would you do? Has a president ever pardoned himself? Has he ever had a need to? And what would you expect if he does that?
Well, I would expect quite a lot of chatter and ambiguity and discussion if he pardons himself. There's no doubt he can pardon his family. Whether he can pardon himself, the Constitution doesn't specifically say he can't, but there are scholars and others who think that some courts might be disinclined to enforce a broad pardon with himself. No president has done it. Whether a president needs to depends on your look of history, but President Trump's need may be more acute. There are pending criminal investigations against him, and so a preemptive pardon might indeed be likely.
Yeah. Thank you.
The consequences would certainly be political. Whether they're legal, we'd have to wait and see.
Yeah. That'll give us something to talk about next year. Hey, Matt, Thank you for taking time out of Christmas Eve for doing that. I appreciate it. You have a wonderful holiday, and we will catch up with you next year.